Okay. Secretary of the branch, CA Prashant Kumar, renowned speaker of today's virtual seminar, CA Balin Jagdish Kumar, senior members, respected past chairman, and my dear professional colleagues, my colleagues in the management committee, a very good evening to all of you. I welcome you all to this virtual seminar on this topic, export incentives for exporters. Because we have RODTEP scheme, we conducted one seminar. In addition to that, other incentives, what are the other incentives that we will discuss today? And export incentives are regulatory and legal, monetary or tax programs that are designed to encourage business to export certain types of goods or services. Exports are goods that are produced in one country and are then transported to another country for sale or trade. Exports are an important part of the exporting country's economy, adding to that nation's gross output. Exports can boost sales and profits of a company if the goods create new markets and expand the global markets that are already existing with the present market, and may also offer the opportunity to capture global market share. Exports also aid in the creation of the jobs as companies expand and grow their workforces. An export is a good or product made by one nation that is shipped to another nation to be sold or traded. Exports help boost the exporting country's gross output and help corporations increase sales, create jobs, and expand to the new markets. Export incentive initiatives are programs that governments create to help encourage the business to export goods and services. Export incentives are a form of economic assistance that government provide to firms or industries within the national economy in order to help and secure foreign markets. A government providing export incentives often does so in order to keep domestic products competitive in the global market. Types of export incentives include subsidies, direct payments, low-cost loans, tax exemption on profits made from exports, and government finance. International advertising, while less concentrating on the import protections such as tariffs, export incentives are still discouraged by economists who claim that are artificially create barriers to free trade and thus can lead to market instability. In fact, you all know that our Prime Minister has already announced India aims to be a 5 trillion economy by 2025. One of the conditions it must fulfill if it is achieve this target is to triple its exports from 1 trillion by the same year. Getting to that milestones will depend a lot how the government props up its export community largely through export schemes that provide a range of financial and non-financial incentives. We take a look at 25 major government schemes aimed at receive the government as acknowledgement for bringing the foreign exchange as compensation for the costs incurred and sending the goods and services out of the country. Export incentives can take the form of subsidies that lower export prices, tax concessions as duty exemptions, which enable duty-free import of inputs for export production, and duty remissions, which enable post-export replenishment of duty on inputs used in export product. Trade facilities such as low-cost loans like packing credit, post-shipment credit, etc. Financial guarantees such as provisions covering bad loans. In India, export incentives are in line with the government flagships Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat. The farmer aims to transform India into a manufacturing major, while the latter advocates self-sufficiency. These incentives are highlighted in a document called Foreign Trade Policy, which is a set of guidelines and strategies for the import and export of goods and services. The policy is formulated for a period of 5 years. We will discuss today and we will deliberate by today or by speaker all the export incentives available other than the RODTEP scheme, where that we have conducted one seminar recently. So now I welcome today's speaker, CA Jagdish Kumar, to deliberate on this today's topic, export incentives for export for improving our exports. Now I welcome CA Jagdish Kumar Garu for this web seminar. Now I request CA Andwar Sridhar Garu to introduce to today's speaker.
Thank you, sir. CA Jagdish Kumar Balina is a qualified chartered accountant and also a cost and management accountant. He is a graduate in commerce from Andhra University. He is currently working at Messrs. Veeraganti and Associates LLP in Audit and Insurance Division of Visakhapatnam branch. He has experience in indirect taxes with special focus on GST, including reviews, consultancy, refund matters, and other FTP related matters. He has performed various indirect tax reviews across various sectors and has guided the clients on transactional structuring, workable business models, developing system and process for compliance under GST. He has also contributed several articles in various tax forums. With these few words, I introduce CA Jagdish to the August Gallery. Thank you.
Now I welcome Jagdish Kumar Garu to take up this session, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for your brief introduction. And also thank you to Management Committee of Visakhapatnam branch. And today I will give you a overview of export incentives under FTP that are available under foreign trade policy. So there are multiple export incentive schemes, and each one is different in its own result, its own style, and its own intention to influence the exports from India. So if you see is my screen visible, sir?
Yes, visible. Yes, visible.
Yeah. Visible, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, if you see the objectives of FTP current foreign trade policy, so I have picked some of the relevant ones. So one of the major objective is to double the percentage of global trade. This is not a new one. This is for 1520. And to provide the high quality of goods and services at globally competitive rates. Already we are delivering the services globally at competitive rates, but whereas coming to the goods, India is lags behind the China. So, and the next one is to improve employment generation and value addition within the country, and to improve the balance of payments. These are some of the objectives. So I will dive just bit history about the export benefits. So export policies have been there in existence since the very long period, since our independence. In 1950s, government focus was more on curb the imports. So policies were announced to restrict import substitution. But what gradually saw that imports still continues to rise, and exports were not incentivized. So there were low exports, and therefore the balance of payment shifted. And also there were currency losses and so forth. And therefore in second 5-year plan, government introduced late in 1950s and early 1960s. Government focused on granting benefits to exporters to promote exports from India. those times there were the schemes like cash compensatory support, which is very likely to the current schemes, when government used to grant a subsidy to non-creditable indirect taxes. And also the rail freight subsidies to the exporters. Those time rail freights are pretty high. And thereafter in 1962, we saw the introduction of Customs Act, wherein duty drawback scheme got notified. Then over the period of 1970s, government introduced schemes for an year plan. There were export-import policies that were introduced every year, depending upon the need and the situation. But yes, it did not result the benefit what the government is looking at. And therefore, in 1985, our Commerce Minister, Mr. VP Singh, introduced the aging policy. When it got introduced, it is for a 3-year period, that is from 1985 to 88. And in 88, another 3-year policy introduced. In 1991, postal liberalization reform, we have seen a 5-year aging policy, and that currently also get continued in the form of the foreign trade policy. Therefore, there is a long history towards the foreign trade policy and to grant incentives to exporters. So, in 2000, government introduced the SEG as a concept, but when it got introduced to circulars and notifications. As there were no particular legal provisions around it, and later that got introduced as an SEG Act in 2005, which got notified in 2006. And from then, currently we have served with FTP, which is currently operational and provides for schemes like MEIs, SEIs, and advanced authorization, EPCG, and so on. Now FTP, which is 2021, maybe for the period 21 to 26 is awaited. As per the recent news, India paused to get the new foreign trade policy from October 2021. So with this, I can say that the overall intent started around in late 50s and early 60s, when the government started giving benefits to exporters just to promote the export, and we saw the result. So this is the background history. So I will just give a brief about the incentive schemes that are available under foreign trade policy, but I will focus more on the recent changes on RoDTEP scheme, that the new modalities, what are the modalities in RoDTEP scheme that I will discuss in the later slide. So before getting into the details, let's understand what kind of export incentives we have currently there. So MEIS is an was an export incentive till last year. Under MEIS, benefit used to get in the form of transferable scrip as a percentage on FOB value of exported goods. Rate of reward under MEIS is ranges from 2% to 5%. It varies from country to country. Right now, it is under debatable. So this MEIS scheme is replaced by RoDTEP. And likewise, MEIS for goods and SAs for schemes for services. SAs, which used to grant transferable scrip at a percentage on value of export of services. Subject to the conditions that realization should be happening in foreign exchange only. And ROSCTL, up to 2019, there is no scheme is not there. This benefit is for textile and garment exporters. The modalities of this scheme is also same like MEIS. In this also they will get a scrip, and the conditions is also same. They have to relate the foreign currency. So coming to the advance authorization and the duty-free import authorization, these two schemes are the duty exemption schemes, and whereas under advance authorization we can import the goods without paying any duty. Both customs duty and IGST is exempted. So under this scheme, we need to fulfill the export obligation, and minimum value addition to be done is 15%. Whereas duty-free import authorization is a variant to advance authorization scheme. It is different from advance authorization, as minimum value addition under duty-free authorization, duty-free import authorization is to be done at 20%, as compared to 15% in advance authorization. It is popular with exporters who export first and then obtain the authorization, and then obtain the authorization, which can be sold. The benefit under DFIA can be used to pay the basic custom duty, or can be sold freely in the open market, like how we sell the scripts which we get from MEIs or SEIs. So coming to the duty drawback, as I discussed earlier, duty drawback scheme is existed since from 1962 and still remains the scheme to grant a benefit of cash incentive on FOB value of export products. So the benefit under the scheme is in lieu of custom duties consumed in export products. Whereas under EPCG, export promotion capital goods, under EPCG, export is allowed to import the capital goods without paying any duty, provided he need to fulfill the export obligation of 6 times of duty saved on import of capital goods, and that obligation needs to be fulfilled within the 6 years from the date of import of capital goods, which are imported without paying any duty. And SEZ in UOU, the modalities for SEZ and UOU are the same, whereas SEZ is allowed to import the goods without paying any duty, and they can also procure the goods from the domestic tariff area without paying any GST. So, and for UOU, they are also allowed to import the goods without paying any duty, provided on DTA procurement, they have to go for GST refund. So for both SEZ and UOU, the condition is they have to oblige to get a positive NFE. So this is the overview. So this is how export incentive scheme for the goods has evolved since from its inception. So in 97 to 2011, there is a scheme called Duty Entitlement Passbook Scheme. And then in the policy 2009 to 15, there are the various schemes like Focus Market Scheme, Focus Product Scheme, Vishesh Krishi Gramin Udyog Yojana, Market Linked Focus Product Scheme, Agri Infra Incentive Scheme. And in 1520, all these schemes got merged into the MEIS in the policy of 1520. So the primary scheme what government has been following for export incentive is MEIS scheme. And in addition to that, for textiles sector, government introduced ROSCTL, rebate of state and central taxes and levies. So presently, MEIS has been withdrawn. These two schemes would be prevalent. One is ROSCTL and the other is ROTEP. So as a discussion earlier slide that MES got replaced by MES. Let's see why this new scheme has come from government. So as you all know that India is also part of World Trade Organization. So the MES benefit what was given by government, there was a dispute at WTO. And the dispute it was finally held, the scheme given by the Indian government to the exporters are in violation to the treaty entered into between the constituent members of World Trade Organization. So initially there were some relaxation provided to developing countries till they reach the certain stages. So once they cross a particular stage, thereafter benefits should not be given in the form of direct subsidy to the exporter. So in that case, India has lost that case at WTO. Now, because India had lost the MEIS case at the WTO, thereafter Indian government decided to discontinue the MEIS scheme. To that effect, India has decided to introduce this ROTEP scheme, and to this effect, on 1/1/2021, notification has been issued by the Ministry of Finance. As a revival, Indian government has come up with WTO compliant proposed scheme, RoDTEP, it effective from 1/1/2021. Though it is implemented from 1st Jan 2021, but implementation has not taken place. So, in that press release on which was released on 31st December, has instructed the exporters declare their intent in the shipping bill. However, the rates procedure guidelines has not given in that press release. After a long wait of 8 months since from the press release which was released on 31st December, Ministry of Commerce and Industry has come out with a scheme of guidelines through the notification 19/2015-20. If you look at the MEIS, it is basically merchant export incentive scheme. So that is kind of incentive what is given on the output product exported from India. But as far as RoDTEP scheme, for the MEIS was held to be invalid, it is not permitted to be provided in the form of subsidy. So this RoDTEP scheme was designed by government in such a way that its intent was not to give the incentive in a direct subsidy, but to give the rebate of taxes, whatever been non-refundable under the existing MEIS scheme. So, RoDTEP journey so far. Before we move to understand what are the features and benefits provided under the RoDTEP scheme, let us spend some couple of minutes on journey of RoDTEP scheme. On 14 September, RoDTEP scheme was announced, and thereafter in July 2020, RoDTEP committee was formed in order to determine the ceiling rates under the RoDTEP scheme. Soon after the formation of the committee, in August 2020, RoDTEP committee invited data from various export promotion councils and Chamber of Commerce, Trade and Industry regarding the embedded on unrebated duties in the export products. So thereafter, government had issued a press release on 31st December 2020. It provides the modalities of the scheme and also provided the detailed procedural aspect was also given. And finally, on 17th August 2021, government notified RoDTEP scheme along with roads and detailed policy guidelines. So if we look at the RoDTEP, like the MEIS, it is included in the chapter 4 of foreign trade policy. When we look at the chapter 4, it is not for the export promotion, but it is for the duty remission scheme. So whatever the taxes other than the GST, etc., wherever the refund cannot be claimed, or ITC cannot be claimed, or where the rebate cannot be claimed, those taxes are becoming the cost to the exporter and making the exporter uncompetitive in the international market. So now the object of this RoDTEP scheme is to give the remission of all those taxes to the exporter, which are levied either at central level or a state level or at the local level. Again, one of the important aspects of this scheme is there is no minimum turnover criteria to get covered under this scheme. So, as we know that it is a well-known policy of government that goods or services can be exported, but taxes should not be exported. So, GST department is giving GST refunds, and Customs department is giving refunds in the form of duty exemption schemes or duty remission schemes. There are other taxes also apart from GST and customs levied by local government. Or whatever the taxes levied by central, state, or local authorities. There are a number of taxes which are unrebated. So those taxes government is remitting through this RoDTEP scheme. If we see the duties which are sought to be covered or sought to be rebated as a part of RoDTEP scheme, they include duties like electricity duty, which incur on purchase of electricity, and the GST involved for the manufacture of electricity, and also VAT and excise duty on fuel, fuel used in generation of electricity or power plants or DGs, and mandi taxes, municipal taxes, property taxes, and also stamp duty. That is also unrebated duty, and also uncreditable taxes under GST. Like if you purchase the passenger transport vehicle, we cannot will not get the credit as it is blocked under section 17(5) of GST. And all those taxes which are unrebated will get rebate under the road tax scheme. So government main intention is to give all these benefit, all these taxes as a rebate under the road tax scheme. So let's see how will this scheme will be administered. So there is no manual intervention. So one is to create a ledger in the IceGate portal. Once I create the ledger in the IceGate, whenever the shipping bill is filed, I need to mention the shipping bill that I want to claim the road type benefit. Once that intention is made clear on the shipping bill and EGM is filed, and once the left export order is issued, then automatically benefit of road type will get created to the ledger what you have created in the IceGate portal. Like it is similarly to how GST is working currently. Like if you talk about the GST, there is an electronic credit ledger. Here also we have a road type credit ledger. Unlike the GST, where we need to put the figure in the GST 3B, but here automatically it would get credited once the shipping bill is filed and let export order is issued and the EGM status is filed by the liner. So now the script, whatever is coming in the credit ledger, it will not be in form of cash. It will be in the form of script like MEIS and SCS script. The script can be used to pay off the duties, import duties, or else it can also be transferred. It has an open market, so we can sell it freely. So but the notification issued, yes, the notification issued by Ministry of Commerce provided the details, rules, procedures regarding the grant of road tax scheme. But aspects like how to make an application and what are the time limits and what documentation needs to be followed, all these things to be notified by Ministry of Finance. As of now, there is no such notification by the board. If you look at the one of the most important aspect of the scheme is export consideration realization. So the scheme provides that as an exporter, I need to get the currency as per the timeline provided in FEMA guidelines. If I am not able to realize that foreign currency in that situation, amount given as a benefit would be disentitled. How it is going to happen, how the department going to monitor all these aspects, have to see. Probably, I guess through EBRC system, they may track all these things. Let's see how they will monitor all these things. Next to that, yeah. The rebate granted under this scheme as a percentage on FOB value of exported products with a value cap per unit wherever required. So earlier, there is no value cap for the exported products under MEIS scheme. So in majority cases, rate notified between is 0.5% to 1.5%, and the highest rate is 4.5%. So there is a capping on absolute amount also. If we take a shrimp export, for the shrimp, the rate notified is 2.5%, subjected to the maximum of 600 rupees per case. If I export 1 kg of shrimp, which value is 1,000, I will get the 25 rupees the benefit under road tax scheme. But there is a value cap of 16 rupees per case. So maximum I will get is only 16 rupees, not 25 rupees. So that value cap is there now under road tax scheme. Currently, rate of road tax I have notified in Appendix 4R of foreign trade policy. We can see all those rates in Appendix 4R, 4R of FTP. So one more thing is in the scheme that there is going to be ceiling rate and overall budgetary outlay for the scheme. Earlier, government during MES scheme, government used to allocate 40,000 to 50,000 crore budget. But whereas for 2021, government allocated only 13,000 crore. And also for MEIS, for each exporter, they cannot claim the benefit more than 2 crore. That ceiling limit is not there 1 year prior to the from 2021 only that ceiling limit has been prescribed. So whatever the ceiling rate is fixed in the scheme, beyond that ceiling rate, benefit could not be given unless specific representation has been made to the committee. So unlike MEIS, till the period prior to law, as now I discussed, till the period prior to the last financial year, whatever the exports were made, if my goods are entitled for benefit, and if those goods are exported out of India, then I was given benefit without any restrictions. So this is one of the main drawback in road tax scheme. Rate is also lower, and also there is a value cap on export products. So following the some of the ineligible categories under the road tax scheme. The following categories of suppliers, exporters are not eligible to claim the benefit under road tax scheme. First one is export of import goods. For example, if I import the goods and export as it is, like trading goods, without doing any activity on those goods, without any value addition on those goods, I am not eligible to claim the benefit under road tax. And even transshipment, just passing through India. In those cases also, I am not eligible to claim the benefit. And also export products which are subjected to export duty or minimum export price. Those goods also are not eligible for road tax. And the product restricted, prohibited under export policy. And also deemed exports supplied to THTP, BTP, STPs, and those transactions also not eligible to claim the benefit. And supplies of product manufactured by DTA, supply of products from DTA to SEZ are also not eligible. Whereas in the earlier period, we can get the benefit by filing a manual application. So, and also product manufactured in EHTP and biotechnological park. And also product manufactured in mower scheme, under mower scheme in the warehouse. Coming to this mower scheme, if I have a company having the 3 units, 1 unit has taken the license under mower under Section 65 Customs Act. Only that unit is not only products manufactured out of from that unit only, not eligible to claim the benefit under the scheme. This remaining 2 units are eligible to claim the benefit if they export the products from the 2 units which have not taken the license under mower scheme. So this restriction is not the entity wise or registration wise or GST level. It is at the factory level only. Only those goods manufactured using the benefit of mower, only those goods are disentitled for road tax scheme. So, and products manufactured are exported in discharge of export obligation against advance authorization or duty-free import authorization or special advance authorization issued under the duty exemption scheme of relevant FTP. So this is also similar to mower scheme only. This is license specific, not a company specific. Only those goods manufactured and exported under discharge of export obligation. Only, those goods only disentitled for road tax scheme. Rest of all other exports, he can apply for road tax. And also product manufactured exported by any of the units situated in free trade zone, EPG and SEZ. Product manufactured or exported availing the benefit of notification number 32/1997 custom. These are the jobbing international jobbing transactions. That the principal is located outside India, and we do the job work in India. After job work, we are sending back those goods to the principal who is located outside India. In those cases, we are not eligible to claim the benefit under RoDTEP. So exports to non-ETA airport. I don't know why this restriction has given. Because of inefficiency of government, exporters are suffering. They have to make the ports, all the ports EDI, but don't know. So goods which have taken into use after manufacture, these are nothing but second-hand goods. So all these categories of products and suppliers are not eligible to claim the RoDTEP scheme. So these earlier I have discussed about the products and category of exporters, and these are all the ineligible sectors. Pharma, chemical, fertilizer, cement, iron and steel. All these sectors are not eligible to claim the benefit under RoDTEP scheme. Actually, these are the sectors India has made a significant progress in last 5 years, but don't know why the company has kept all these sectors not permitting to claim the RoDTEP scheme. So, moving on to, so let's see the prerequisites for claiming the RoDTEP. To avail this scheme, exporter shall make an claim for RoDTEP in the shipping bill by making a declaration. The exporter will have to make the following declaration in the reward box as below. Under the info type, I will not go into the procedural aspect. So under the info code, if the exporter intend to claim the RoDTEP scheme, then he need to put the RoDTEP file. If we don't want to claim the RoDTEP, then we have to put the RoDTEP N. So under info MSR, he need to put the quantity details. Under UPC, he has to put the unit of measurement. So here I have given the screenshot of the shipping bill. If you see here, under info type, exporter has given DTY and then qualified DTY and info code RoDTEP because he is intended to claim the RoDTEP scheme. Here info MSR 145. These are the quantity details. This is the EOM. So mere non-declaration of above intent doesn't deny the exporter for claiming the benefit. However, exporter can file the amendment of shipping bill under section 149 of the Customs Act. Even there is one public notice giving relaxation to the exporter if he inadvertently put the RoDTEP N in the info code, then those shipping bill also will get transmitted to the IceGate for the purpose of the RoDTEP. Those things will move. So the following is the action plans for businesses, for exporters also. So verification of classification of export products. So one is to carefully classify the product. In the RoDTEP scheme, the system is designed in such a way that RoDTEP rate will get picked automatically based on the HSN that we give in the shipping bill. Once we give the HSN in the shipping bill, automatically RoDTEP rate will get picked and will get credited to the credit ledger what we created in the IceGate portal. If I make the wrong classification of the product, my benefit entitlement could go wrong. Though I may get a higher benefit or may get the lower benefit, but the impact could be that whether any benefit what I am getting for which I am not entitled to get the benefit, that I could always land up into the problem. So any excess claim would result in a recovery of undue benefit along with interest and penalty under Section 11 of Quanted Act. And how they will make the recovery, all those things not yet notified. Later we have to see. So next is calculation of incidence of unrefunded tax on exported products. The main intent of the main intent of RoTAP scheme is to refund the embedded, non-refunded, non-credited, or non-remitted taxes, duties, and levies. If any exporter feels that he is not getting the refund of taxes which are not creditable, then he can submit a data for reconsideration to the RoTAP committee. Yeah, the cost of tax to be compared with the RoTAP, and in case of any variance, if we feel any variance or if he feels that he is getting the less entitlement, then he can make the representation to RoTAP committee to get the issue addressed. So comparison analysis. So one need to make the comparison. Every exporter has to make the cost benefit analysis to be performed. Earlier, exporter used to make the export on cost to cost basis. Only MES incentive is the margin, but now they have to revisit their prices according to the RoTAP incentive what they are getting, and also they have to perform the scheme comparison, which scheme is beneficial to them. Here I have given one example. For instance, comparison between the advance authorization RoTAP scheme. If a FOB value of export product is 1,000 and a RoTAP benefit is 2.5%, then he will get an benefit of RoTAP of rupees 25. For him, RoTAP is beneficial if the import duty cost in the export product is less than 25. Then only RoTAP is beneficial. So like this, he has to make the comparison for each of the scheme. He has to choose the scheme which is beneficial to him. So, and also he needs to see the compliance cost also. So like this, it is useful for the exporter which scheme is beneficial to him. So here I have summarized some differences, major difference between RoTAP scheme and MEIS. Incentive, yeah, incentives under RoTAP. Only rebate is formed in the only rebate of unrefunded duties or levies on inputs are given under RoTAP scheme, whereas MEIS is the export promotion scheme. Incentive on export goods, incentive is given in form of transferable scrip. As I said earlier, RoTAP is the WTO compliant now. So anyway, MEIS is now discontinued. So incentive, coming to the rate of incentive under RoTAP scheme, the incentive range from 0.01% to 4.3% of FOB value, whereas in MEIS, range of incentive ranges from 2% to 5% on realized value of FOB value. Mode of issuing in both the schemes are same, but whereas in RoTAP, scripts are maintained in the electronic credit ledger, what we have created in IceGate. But whereas in MEIS, there is no such credit ledger. We don't know how much scripts issued against us. So both the scripts are as like earlier MEIS, the scripts are transferable in open market. Coming to the coverage of products, under RoTAP scheme, more than 8,000 products are covered, whereas in MEIS, only nearly to 5,000 products are covered. In under road tab, there are higher exclusions. As I discussed earlier, there are the sectorial exclusions and the transaction-wise exclusions and the category-wise exclusion. But whereas in MS, there were very lower exclusions. Government budget allocation also. This one also I discussed earlier in the previous slide, that under road tab for the 21-22, government has allocated only 13,000 crores, whereas under MEIS, 40,000 to 50,000 crores used to allocate under MEIS scheme. So here I have given, I have prepared a chapter-wise rate summary taken from the Appendix 4R of FTP. We see here, most of the products are ranging from 0.01% to 2.5% only. Very less products are more than 3%. So from Andhra Pradesh, most of the aqua products export. So for aqua products covered under chapter 03, those the rate is prescribed 2.5%, 0.5% to 2.5%. So earlier they used to get the 5%, but now they are getting only 2.5%. So issues and challenges under road tab. So if the exporter unable to realize the foreign currency on exports, to that extent he need to pay back the incentive what he, pay back the benefit what he has availed from road tab. So this condition is broken, and actually the main intent of road tab scheme is not to give the incentive, not subsidy. They are giving the embedded unrebated taxes, but don't know why this condition they have inserted here. And also extension of time limit can be applied from RBI. Also as I discussed earlier, exceptions to the road tab scheme are yet to be notified in the following cases. What if RBI has a write it off? If I not make the realization, if I get the inward remittance from ECGC or post supply discount, what about the post supply discount? All these things we have no clarity as of now. So currently road tab scheme is applicable only for export of goods, and for service export SCI's benefit is in existence. I think which may be continued in the modified form, which will get included in road tab. So actually this road tab scheme was announced long back in Jan, but implementation has not taken place. So immediate implementation of the scheme is need of the hour, and also working capital for the exporters is blocking. So further delay this scheme will get hampers the exporters. So and that is the one main aspect, because for exporters this incentive is only the margin. That's it. Yeah, hello sir. Yeah, this is the appendix 4R of foreign trade policy. Here we can see the value cap. I see if you see here, this is the rate of entitlement, and this is the value cap. That means per case only 2 rupees, 2.6% on FOB value, subject to maximum of 2 rupees per case. So the exporter will get a maximum of 2 rupees in this case. So like that, this cap is not there under the earlier MES scheme. So I will show you the shipping bill also, where the exporter has declared his intent of claiming road theft. Right, I will share that one also. If you see the shipping bill, see here exporter has to declare his intent of claiming road theft scheme. Road theft file. If he if he not claim here, then he will not get the benefit. But mere non-declaration of intent here, he should not be denied to get the benefit under this scheme. However, he can file an amendment of shipping bill. So usually the shipping bills are prepared by CHS. So one needs to take care while preparing the checklist, shipping bill checklist, whether the intent is declared or not. So that's it, sir.
ఇదేటం మేడం, ఇదేంటి క్లోజ్ అయిపోయింది ఇది? Jagdish garu,
sir.
so
Sorry. Yeah, sir.
are you sharing something?
Yes, sir. Checklist I am sharing there. Sorry, it is in mute. I didn't see. So I'm sharing the shipping bill checklist, sir. So exporter needs to take care here while declaring his intent of claiming raw type. Yes. Here, exporter needs to take care while submitting the checklist to his CHA. So, and also quantity details we need to mention. As of now, in shipping bill, nominal amount it is showing as an raw type benefit, but once it gets integrated with IceGate, then we'll get the benefit. All the benefit what we have declared in the shipping bill from first rand, that will get in a month, in a couple of months. Already for some exporter, they are getting this benefit for the shipping bills filed from Jan. Yeah, it is same like duty drawback, how it is working now. Based upon the HSN, it is automatically picking the rate of duty drawback, and it is getting credited to our bank account registered with the custom. The same way it will also work. Once I declare my intent, it will automatically pick that rate in appendix 4R, and based on that rate and HSN, it will get credited to the rate ledger. Whereas in duty drawback scheme, it will get directly credited the cash into our bank. But whereas here, we will get the benefit in the form of the script. That script we can use for payment of custom duty, or else we can sell it in the open market. So that is if anyone have a doubts, then
Sorry, can you throw a light on the interest equalization scheme?
Interest equalization scheme, sir, that I need to see, sir. That is not under FTP, sir.
Or NERVIC scheme?
Sorry, sir.
NERVIC scheme?
No, sir, I have never heard about that scheme, sir.
Because the export in the import to credit guarantee scheme is there. ECGC.
Yeah, ECGC. That is not under FTP, no, sir. Foreign trade policy.
Only these are the benefits available.
From FTP, only these are the benefits available, sir.
So, what about GST? Yes.
GST already we are getting refund, no, sir, on export of goods.
Sir, you please come to the video, sir, because the people wants to see, you know.
Sir.
Sir, members, would you please like to ask some questions or clarifications?
So under GST we are getting refund, and also customs duty also we are getting refund in the form of duty remission and duty exemption schemes. Only those taxes which we are not getting refunded under GST and customs, that we are that government is trying to give the benefit through raw tax schemes. So the main intent of government is to export only goods and services, not the taxes. So that is the main intent, sir.
Members, please unmute yourself and ask any clarifications or questions or anything. Sir, one doubt I am having,
sir.
whether these incentives are gross exchange, incentives will be given on a gross exchange or net of exchange.
On FOB value, sir. As a percentage on FOB, sir.
Percentage in FOB value.
Yes, sir.
As on the date of export.
Sir. What is there on the shipping bill? That FOB value will get fixed, sir. Same way duty drawback scheme is also working, sir. It is also picking based upon the FOB what we declared in the shipping bill.
So members, any clarification or doubt, anything regarding this incentives of exporter? Please ask. Any doubts? You can unmute yourself and ask the questions. Or any clarification about the export import? Members, please respond. You can unmute yourself and ask the questions. Because our speaker is available to clarify all doubts on these export incentives. If you are not having any doubts, sir, the MEIS scheme is already completed from 1st January, that is withdrawn, sir.
This is from 1st January.
Okay.
But we need to declare our intent of claiming ROTEP from 1st January itself, sir. Though it's not implemented, but from 1st January and every shipping bill, who the exporter who intend to claim, so he needs to declare.
Because there are so many doubts on ROTEP.
Okay.
Can we claim these incentives on the MEIS scheme under MEIS scheme?
No, sir. MEIS totally discontinued. Even in portal also, that option is not there.
Not there.
Not there.
But the SEI scheme is continuing.
SEI scheme continued, sir. For 1920, they have not yet released in the portal.
Releasing the portal.
Yeah. And late cut fee, and that within 3 years we have to claim it. So that 3 years also got completing, but I don't know when they will release. Actually, right now they have put on hold, sir, all these incentives at SEIS. Even we are claiming, they are not issuing the scripts. They are not processing the applications.
When government is giving Atmanirbhar scheme that we have to 5 trillion economy, everything is telling that why they decreased the reduced these incentives, sir.
They are not allocated. They are implementing the schemes, but they are not allocating the budget, sir. Even officers are ready to give, but they are getting instructions from finance ministry that budget is not there. So
then how the exports will be improved?
I discussed in the session as well. For exporters, only these incentives only the margin.
Margin.
They used to export on cost to cost basis.
Cost, yes.
Yeah, from last 1.5 year, they are suffering this.
Suffering.
Yeah, sir.
Except that prawn exporters.
For them also, a bit difficult, sir, because they are also exporting on cost to cost basis only. Only they used to get the 5% incentive. They're not getting from last 1.5 years. And also under MES also, they have given a cap now, sir. Beyond 2 crores, they cannot claim.
Why the percentage of incentive is more on this tobacco, sir? Cigarettes and
Tobacco. Maybe they want to
reduce in India.
reduce in India and even
Numbers?
pharma, there is no lot of benefit now, sir, for pharma, cement.
Pharma, cement,
They are
chemicals,
the largest export from
iron
India,
and
the
steel.
pharma.
Pharma, cement, iron and steel, major
They are the main sectors, sir. So,
core
no.
sectors. Members, if you are not having any doubts or clarifications you want to take from our today's speaker, that will go for the vote of thanks, sir. Now I request our secretary, Sri C.A. Prashant Kumar, please, thank you very much, Jagdish Kumar, for your so excellent message you have given, that excellent deliberations you have done, and you have taken a lot of pains and you explained this. Now I request our secretary to say propose vote of thanks. So attention to see our Prashant Kumar ji.
Respected Vice P. Vasudevamurthy garu, Speaker C.A. Kumar garu, past chairman, senior members, and other dignitaries, good evening to all. I am privileged to propose vote of thanks for the session on my own and behalf of the Visakhapatnam members for accepting our invitation and sharing your knowledge for the benefit of our members, sir. Sir, your delightful deliberations on the incentive schemes on exports for the exporters are given a very clear picture, and it's given a very brief deliberations on the export schemes. You had explained from the origin of when it was started, how it was started, and how it is going on. These are very beneficial to our members, sir. Thank you very much for your presentation. I also extend my thanks to all the members who are participated in the webinar. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jagdish garu.
Thank you so much, sir.